Hi folks, it's me Michaela and welcome back to my channel. I just finished filming my February reading wrap up and I was thinking, you know what? I should start a new reading vlog. And I have been thinking recently about doing another 24-hour readathon kind of thing. I did one before where I read for 24 hours, like, you know, the one where you like set a timer for 24 hours and you only have it going while you're reading and you see how much you read in 24 hours. I'm thinking I might do that again just because I'm not doing like an actual 24-hour readathon because like I have a full-time job and I'm old, so I depend on my sleep and I'm not sacrificing my sleep just to read, and I will just end up falling asleep anyway, so what's the point? So I was thinking, let's do like a reading for 24 hours and see how far I get. I think like the last time I did this, I tried to read 1,000 pages in 24 hours and I don't think I succeeded, but I can maybe see how, close I get again. Why not? And the first book I'm going to be starting with for the reading vlog is Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. This is her new release that just came out this past week. It's currently March 2nd and this released on the 25th. I'm really excited to get into it. I was just waiting to kind of finish the couple of books I was in the middle of before starting it, and I'm super excited. Mystery thriller book. This is the same author who wrote Wrong Place, Wrong Time, which was one of my favorite books of 2023. I loved it. I also read Just Another Missing Person by Gillian McAllister, and I really enjoyed that as well. And based off the premise of this book, I'm super excited to get into it. It's also like a short read, and I've kind of been in like a mystery mood lately, so I'm kind of excited to get into it. Little thriller, quick read moment, hopefully. We'll see how long it takes me. I feel like maybe 7 to 8 hours, because I'm not a super fast reader because I choose to not be a super fast reader because I like to take my time with my books, but we'll see how long it takes me. So I'll read for a little bit and let you know, how much time has passed and where I am in the book and my thoughts. Kind of like a regular reading vlog, but there is a timer at the same time. That's the plan. No idea what I'm going to read after this. I do have quite a few rereads of series that I'm currently in the middle in that I could choose from. I also have new books on my shelf that I could choose from. So, I have options. And I feel like the 24 hours of reading thing is also a great way to go of making a reading vlog without an actual theme connecting the books. So that's what your girl is doing. There we go. I'm excited to read this. This is woman gets home, finds note from husband that doesn't make sense, gets a call from the police saying her husband is in a bank heist. She's like, oh no, my husband has been taken captive in a bank heist. And then the police are like, no, your husband is doing the heisting. And then she has to figure out what's going on. So I'm so excited and I'm gonna start that. But first I have to edit my other video because I really need to post that in like 3 hours time or something. And I am procrastinating that hard. But once I do that, reading will begin. Okay, see you for an update. I'm back. Okay, because I have finished Act 1 of Famous Last Words. It's kind of like set into sections that are called acts because it has like a bookish plot point, or not really like a plot point, more like a character point, where the two of the main characters, I guess, are both in like the publishing, writing, book industry. So like it kind of makes sense that it's called acts. And we have like two main points of view. One is Cam, who's the wife, and the other is Niall, who is a hostage negotiator. And like the book is getting really good. I do have to correct myself because I think I said that this is like her husband pulls a bank heist. It's not a bank heist. He just like takes 3 hostages in a warehouse, like this random warehouse, which I assume the warehouse is going to become not random, but that's just a little inkling I have in my brain. I am like getting to a point where there's been like some things where I'm like, this seems suspicious. I am questioning this right here. I question it, but it is really good. Quite the page turner. I like have not been able to put it down. I forgot to check exactly where I am at with the 24-hour timer situation, but I think I have about 21 and a half hours left on it. I could turn my camera off right now to double check that, but look, I'm already risking having to run to work in order to film this, so like your girl's not checking. Oh, you know what? I think I took a screenshot last night of how much of the timer is left. Okay, there we go. That answers that question. I'm really excited to keep going in this. Want to read some more tonight. This was definitely a good book to start off this kind of like 24 hours of reading scenario because like I just want to be reading. Love a good page turner, can't put it down mystery thriller. I've been excited for this. It released last week and I was just waiting to finish some books before I started it and it was worth the wait. So those are my thoughts so far. Super intriguing and I'm very interested to see what's revealed and where it goes. So for now, though, I have to go to work. So I guess I will do that. Still winter, still snowing, still cold. This is Michaela and Hooper Humperdinck coming to you live with the breaking news that I'm apparently a much slower reader than I thought I was. I thought I was quicker than this. I thought I was like a little speedy, and I am in fact not speedy at all because I now have a little over 17 hours left on this timer of 24 hours of reading. I think it's at like 17:11 right now. And I'm only 2/3 through Famous Last Words. Like I thought I'd be done this book at this point, and like apparently who was I to think that, because I am not done this book in 7 hours. But it is very good. I'm now about to start Act 3, which I assume is the final and third act, because the other two have been approximately 1/3 of the book, and there's like approximately 1/3 of the book left, so I assume there's only one part of the book left. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. And it's definitely getting really good. I have like concepts, like I have ideas, okay, of what I think is going on here. And there's like some things that I feel like very sure about with the mystery, but I have no idea how it all connects. Like I have no full picture. I have like the edges of my puzzle and then like one blob of something that was easy to build made of the jigsaw. I think I'm like going in the right direction. I think I'm figuring it out, but also like who the heck knows? Not I, not really. But I am really liking it so far. I have to say there's been like a couple things that have just kind of like felt a little out of place. For example, the beginning of this book is in 2017 and they're referencing TikTok. And look, I don't have TikTok. I'm still not on TikTok. But like I'm aware of TikTok, right? Obviously, because I'm not, not on the internet. And as far as I'm aware, like TikTok was not like a super massive blow up thing in 2017, right? Like that TikTok didn't really become that level of popular of like the context around where it's in the book. I just like don't want to give any spoilers because it's a mystery thriller, right? But like when they reference TikTok, it's in like a very like broad sense of like everybody knows about it. And everybody did not know about TikTok in 2017, so why is that there? Why is that there? There's also, like I said, there is like a element of this plot and the backstory of the characters is kind of like this backdrop of like working in publishing and being a literary agent and like books and reading and stuff. And as much as like I enjoy the aspect of the books, but sometimes it feels like a little like, here's your head. We're talking about reading. I don't know, maybe it's just a me thing, but sometimes I find like when books are like a little too heavy-handed with the like reading books, publishing, it makes me like cringe a little bit. And like that's probably just a me thing. It feels like weirdly too self-indulgent and it always kind of pulls me out of the story a bit just because I think authors are too biased towards reading and books, which like I don't blame them for it. That's not their fault. But I think it just like gives me too much of a direct line into like an author's voice versus like the character's voice, I feel, whenever reading comes up. I don't know if that makes any sense, but like that's how I feel about it. I felt like this when I read Throne of Glass a bit too, where it's like you're talking about reading too much, where it's making me feel like this is the author and not the story. But like things are starting to be revealed. Things are getting a little tense. There have been parts where I felt like it has been like a tad too slow of a plot where it's like I feel like what is happening right now is actually not that relevant, so like why are we here? But then when the things are good, like things are good and I'm liking it. So I'm gonna try and finish this today because like I have like I think, about 100 pages left, and I feel like the last 100 pages of a mystery thriller are like the easiest 100 pages to read. So like, wish me luck that my slow little reading brain can finish this book in like 2.5 more hours, I guess, based off of my current reading. Like, ew, why am I so slow? I mean, like, I'm not mad about being a slow reader. I just apparently have been like delusional about my reading pace, but whatever. Guess I'll go to work. Ugh. Okay, see you when I'm done the book. Hello. So I stand corrected because there actually was an act 4 in Famous Last Words. So my bad for assuming there'd be 3. There was actually 4, which like does make sense that basically like the 4th act is kind of like the conclusion vibe. So like I very much see how that works at this point, but like I didn't even guess that correctly. But I finished Famous Last Words yesterday, and I think I'm gonna give this a 4-star review. It definitely wasn't my favorite. Gillian McAllister, I don't think anything can top Wrong Place, Wrong Time for me, unfortunately, with Gillian McAllister. But still like a very solid book. However, I am starting to feel like Gillian McAllister books seem to kind of all be like the mystery of the history of a person in the main character's life that has to be revealed to solve the tragic event that occurred now. You know, it's like it's always this kind of like tragedy happens, reveal the backstory of the main character's relative or whoever is in the center of this. You go back, figure out all of these secrets about their lives, and then you end up at the answer, which is a good story. I'm not saying it's not a good story. It just like I would like her to do something different. Like pick a different story arc to put it in, because I still think like Famous Last Words, Wrong Place, Wrong Time, and Just Another Missing Person, those are the 3 books I read. I don't know if those are her only 3 books or not, but those are the 3 I've read, and they're all very like unique inside the story. Like it's not like you're reading the same story, but you definitely can see the similarities between them. So I think basically I'm telling myself that I need to read more mystery thrillers other than just Gillian McAllister mystery thrillers. I guess that's where it's leading, because I really don't read much like mystery thriller kind of stories. I tend to either do cozy mystery or I just read a completely different genre. So I think maybe if I read like a larger variety of author, I wouldn't be feeling this way. But it's just that like kind of all of the recent mystery thrillers that I have in my mind are kind of all of this same trajectory of story because they're all Gillian McAllister books. There were like a couple things in Famous Last Words. I guess I could like hold the book for you like I'm a good booktuber or something. But there were like a couple things in Famous Last Words that I guessed. There was one aspect of it that I thought was like weirdly too obvious. And it was like only one part of the mystery. It's not like the whole thing was that obvious. But there was just definitely like one clue where I was like, this is way too obvious. And then there was like some other things that I guessed, other things that I didn't. I had a good time. You know, like the last bit of the book really moves fast, like you expect it to. There were some points in it that I felt moved a tad slower, and I also think the entire story plot line, there's this like semi-adjacent plot to it all where Cam, the main character's sister, is struggling with infertility throughout the entirety of the story, and it got to a point where I was like, does this have something to do with the mystery? Because it's like talked about all the time, and I don't have anything against having discussions on infertility and the struggles women go through, if that like and couples go through with infertility in a book, but like this just didn't feel like the place or time, as it had nothing to do with anything else happening in the book, really. Like it didn't feel like it was substantial enough to be talked about as often as it was talked about. So like that's kind of in general my overall thoughts. I still think it was like a very solid book, and I read it, I was gonna say read it relatively quickly, but like who am I kidding? We discovered through this that I actually don't read that quick. I'm actually not a speedy reader. I am currently at 14 hours and 9 minutes left on my timer, but not all of that was reading Famous Last Words, because I did, like I said, I finished Famous Last Words yesterday evening, so I did decide to pick up another book because I had more time. in the evening, and obviously I had more time on my timer to read. So I decided to start Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune. This is the sequel to The House in the Cerulean Sea, which I really loved when I read it like 2 years ago at this point. So I've only read like the first chapter, so there's kind of like a epigraph prologue-y section, and then I read the first chapter, and that's it of that book. So I haven't read a lot of it, but I did start that, and it's going to be my next read. So far, I am enjoying it. It's like just kind of diving back into these characters is fun. I do really love the found family from like the first book, and it does seem like, you know, like we're continuing on. It's been like a year-ish, I think, since The House in the Cerulean Sea ended. However, I also am struggling with this fact that like I read The House in the Cerulean Sea 2 years ago, so like my memories of it is like, oh yeah, I remember that book. I love that book. And then I started reading Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I was like, who? Huh? You know, a little bit of that. I might like quickly read like a synopsis of The House in the Cerulean Sea just to really like solidify in my brain exactly what happened there, because I think like there was a little bit of confusion on my part just initially reading it, because I was like, oh yeah, I actually haven't read that book in a while, and I've read a lot of books since then, so you know, there's a lot of things going around in the noggin. So I'm gonna be reading more of that, continuing the timer. I'll let you know my updates. I do like have my Libby loan on this due like literally tomorrow, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to read it before like noon tomorrow, but like baby, we're gonna find out. I got a deadline now, but I really need to get to work. I'm probably gonna be late now, and by late I mean like on time. I'm somebody who's always early, so like I'm not actually gonna be late, but like you get it. Okay. I'm just gonna go now. Okay. Good morning, unless it's not the morning, in which case, like, good whatever it is you're having right now, but for me, it is the morning. It is Saturday morning, which is why I look like only half put together. I'm not going to say I look like a mess, because let's be honest, I put some work in the not look like a mess, but I didn't put in that much work, so this is what we're dealing with for the time being. My hair is as dry as the desert in August. She's needing a moisture mask, and we're just going to ignore that. We're going to ignore how dry and how much she's suffering at the moment. But I thought I'd give you a little update on the vlog, because that's literally my unpaid job on this channel. I'm here to do my volunteer hours. And look, it's been a bit of a time. For starters, okay, I was reading last night. My heated blanket is broken. Devastating news. What the hell am I supposed to do? It doesn't heat anymore. Like, I know it's March, so like springtime's around the corner, I'm not going to be needing it anymore, but this is a tragedy in the household. And so I was coping with that. I had to wear extra socks last night, so my toes wouldn't get cold. It was like, it was so much. But anyway, I've been reading Somewhere Beyond the Sea, and I'm about like 40% of the way into it now, and I have like 160-ish pages left to read by this afternoon. It is 9 a.m. Like, do I have poor decision and time management skills when it comes to reading? Yes, we discovered this. We already knew this from the last clip, okay? I am living in delusion, but I'm still here and I'm going to do it. I'm just gonna hunker down and read as quickly as I can while also still enjoying the book, and we're gonna make it work, baby. Gonna make it work. But I'm feeling so conflicted about Somewhere Beyond the Sea so far, because I loved The House in the Cerulean Sea, and it was a standalone book. Like, it was a standalone book. And then because of the popularity of House in the Cerulean Sea and the way that the story ended with kind of this like hopeful nod to the future kind of thing, it then got a sequel. And as far as I'm aware, this was an unplanned sequel. And I have a thing against unplanned sequels, okay? Because unplanned sequels, because they weren't planned, and the initial book was written without the intention of this story going beyond the book that was initially written, unplanned sequels are almost always just for the capitalism and the fan service, and as a result, they never deliver. Personal opinion. It's why a lot of things I'd like to stay away from, for the most part. You know, like The Inheritance Cycle, Christopher Paolini, okay? That Murtagh book that released 12 years after the last book of the Cycle series released. I I'm not going to read it. In my mind, it's not part of the series. Get it out of here, okay? The cover doesn't even match the covers of the Inheritance Cycle, so that's rude. It's from a different character POV than we've had, and it's following him like in the future in the same world. It should be a spin-off book and not part of the series, for one, because the series is done. Like, I'm done. I'm acting like Murtagh doesn't exist in that series, okay? And also, if you're really gonna go and write a book 12 years later for the capitalism, at least release new covers for the 4 existing book that now match the new book cover so that you can at least, money grab as much as you're gonna money grab. Is that controversial to say? I don't know. But that being said, for the most part, my general feeling towards unplanned sequels is I don't like them. Get them out of here. But with House in the Cerulean Sea, I wanted to give it a chance because I loved the House in the Cerulean Sea. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this sequel could go somewhere. And maybe I should put my bias towards unplanned sequels aside and read this sequel. And in a way, I'm enjoying it. Because like I said, I love the House in the Cerulean Sea and I love the characters and I love being back in the world. And, TJ Klune's writing is very, I don't know how to describe it, but it's like that kind of like sarcastic, serious funny. It's like extremely upper management. Like, that's funny, okay? Like utmost importance committee or something. That's funny, okay? However, at the same time, I'm reading this and it feels too serious. Like, I just wanted like, oh, the gang's all back together and we love each other, But instead, it's like our existence is being mildly threatened by the government and we are fighting back. And it just feels like too serious. Like, I didn't want this. I didn't ask for this. I mean, I didn't ask for this book in general, but here I am reading it. And also, it feels like the messaging of the book, the acceptance and the talk of like not trying to control people who aren't like us, not infringing on other people's rights, all of that kind of, messaging, love over hate vibes. You know where I'm going. It's 9 a.m. on a Saturday. Give me a break. But it just feels like too heavy-handed. Like, it feels a little like smack you over the head with it. There's like this one point where they literally just describe generational trauma. And as much as I'm like, yes, I like to see this like represented in a book, it just feels too heavy-handed. Like, it feels like you feel like the audience is too dumb to get what you're saying. So you're like, here's a frying pan with my point. Boing! Is a little bit of the vibe, and I dislike that. And then like they keep having these like conversations where they're like too perfect. I don't know how to explain it. I've seen this in other books where sometimes when books want to be very accepting and acknowledging of people's feelings and experiences and like all of these things, sometimes it leans a little too far into dialogue feeling like it's a bunch of therapists talking to each other, if that makes sense. And it makes it feel very like unnatural. And especially when it's like children, it feels weird to me. It doesn't feel like this is an organic conversation that's happening. It feels like this is just the author trying to be like, here's the perfect way to answer and deal with this situation of somebody having experienced, discrimination or hate, and then providing them space to feel their feelings. And it's like all of that is correct. Definitely do that. But then the way it's like dealt with in the scene doesn't feel, it feels too like textbook. And so as a result, I don't feel the emotional connection to it. Maybe that's just a me thing. It's the way I feel. So it's like just like making it a little hard to get into. I'm like 40% into it now. And like I said, it's like I like it, but there's parts of it that I dislike. So I think like right now I'm kind of sitting around like a 3-star for like what I've read so far in it. Just because the government corruption and stuff, it's just like, this is not really like what I came to House in the Cerulean Sea for. Like, I came here for like cute magical children who kind of want to destroy the world sometimes, and everybody loves each other and they're all happy on the island, like that's what I came here for. And instead I'm getting, we have to fight the government who's oppressing us, and it's just like not what I came here for. These were not the vibes I was wanting, and it's throwing me off, is I guess basically what I'm saying about it. So those are some thoughts and feelings. It's like I'm liking it, I'm not loving it, I'm feeling a little off. I'm gonna keep reading it. Maybe now that things have kind of like settled in, the plot is gonna get more just like found family, love, like I want it to. We're gonna find out, and by we I mean me. I'm gonna find out because I'm the one reading it, and I will let you know my thoughts like when I'm when I'm farther in. Yeah. Okay. So, same place, same time later today? Okay, yeah, sure, let's do that. I'm back, just like I said I would be, because I like to keep my promises. I don't know how, because technically this Libby loan is over, but I still have the book on my iPad, and I'm just at a point where it's like, I'm just not going to question it. I'm just going to keep reading and hope for the best. Like, maybe if I just never exit out of it, I'm fine. I don't know. Maybe it's a weird glitch. I'm gonna take it. So I have read more of the book, obviously, duh. And I'm now at chapter 13, 300 of 400 pages read. So about like 3/4 of the way through. And I have to say, like, it is good. It's a good book. The writing is still good. I'm liking like the story. Like, it's easy to just keep reading it. And I like that. And I love the characters. And I love this little world that we're in. And there's some like exciting things happening and all that. But also at the same time, like the stakes still feel just like a bit too high for what I was wanting from this. I was kind of wanting it to be more of just the like found family, love, house in the cerulean sea, yay. But like instead, and like I understand obviously there needs to be conflict in the book. Like it can't just, like the story can't just be like everybody is happy and they all love each other, yay. But like this just feels like too high stakes for what I was wanting from the book, so the vibes feel off. I just like, I don't know what to do because it's like, it's weird. Like it's like I like it, I don't like it. I like it, but I don't like it. I do like that Arthur is like the perspective for this book. The first book is from Linus's perspective, and this time we're following Arthur, and I like that. And I do like the themes that we're discussing in the book. I think it's just, I don't know. And again, it's like I haven't read House in the Cerulean Sea since like 2 or more years ago, so like that book is like pretty distant in the memory at this point, but like just from what I remember, it's like I just feel like the vibe overall is just like not the same, because like House in the Cerulean Sea is like Linus goes to like inspect the magical orphanage, and he like learns and grows as a person and builds all of these relationships and changes his mind about prejudice, and then they like found family, everybody loves each other, and it's great, and that's great. And this feels like everything we've known is being threatened. I'm not really a fan of that. Like there's a little bit too much evil happening for what I want from this book, I guess is kind of the main thing that I'm saying. I do have a little over 7 hours of reading left to do on the timer. Sometimes I keep forgetting that like I am doing a 24 hours of reading vlog, so I need to probably update you on that. I have been keeping track of it. I have been remembering the time. It's just every time I come to talk, it's like I got too many other thoughts to talk about other than like, oh my god, the timer has this much time left. But the timer has like 7 hours, like 11 minutes left or something. So I'm definitely going to finish this book and then have time for like another shorter book. We'll see what I end up doing, but obviously I need to finish this one first. Yeah, I'm mixed feelings. I think it's probably going to end like I was thinking, like somewhere between like a 2.5 and a 3, honestly, because it's like some of the dialogue feels really like unnatural to me. The stakes of the story feel a bit too high for what I was like wanting and expecting from this book, and also the plot overall doesn't feel necessary, I guess, just because like I don't think the sequel was necessary. And as happy as I am to read more of TJ Klune's writing, which I enjoy, and to be back with these characters who I love, like, could I have done without this book? Yeah. So I'll see how I feel about like the end of it, because I think the thing is too, like there's all of these crazy high stakes, but then it's House in the Cerulean Sea, so I'm just kind of like assuming that it's all gonna somehow resolve with everybody being happy, because it's like, isn't that where we're leading with this? And then if it doesn't end that way, then I'm going to be disappointed. But then if it does end that way, it's obvious. So in a way, that's disappointing. So I feel like the ending of this book kind of can't win in my eyes. And like, is that fair to the book? Probably not, but that's the reality. So I'm going to like eat some food, make another coffee, read more of the book. That's about it. It's the weekend, so I can have just like chill, do nothing kind of reading days. Love me a rest. Also, it's like so windy that if I go outside, I might blow away. It's an indoor day kind of day. There we go. I'll let you know when I'm done the book. Hopefully I like the ending and I can give it like a nice rating. I don't often give books like 2.5 stars. I mean, like the only book I gave, did I even give it 2.5 stars? I think I gave it 2. That Becca Mac that I absolutely couldn't stand. And then Twisted Love, I gave it 2.5 because I didn't know what to do with that. And it feels weird to like try to group this book with those books. But I think it's like kind of giving that vibe, but in like a different way. Anyway, well, you know what? I'm not making any final decisions until I'm done the book. So, like, let me go finish the book. Yes. So I was able to finish reading Somewhere Beyond the Sea by TJ Klune, and I currently have 4 hours and 24 minutes left on my timer. I ended up giving Somewhere Beyond the Sea 3 stars. Overall, it was a good book. I just did not love it anywhere near as much as I loved The House in the Cerulean Sea. I also found it to be a little too heavy-handed on the nose with its commentary. I think it kind of was saying things almost in a way that made me feel like TJ Klune thought that the readers like weren't gonna get it otherwise, and I'm like, I get it. I do get it. I also wasn't like super satisfied with the ending because it kind of felt like, I don't know, it weirdly felt like it didn't conclude enough but also went too far. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I wasn't a fan of it. I didn't like it because it kind of felt like we were going towards this like revolutionary change thing, but then we didn't. But then somehow it still happened, and I just like wasn't a huge fan of that. But I do really like the characters. I love to kind of be in the world a bit more, so you know, I wasn't gonna give it like a bad rating, but I also wasn't gonna give it a great rating because it just like wasn't for me. I am like glad I read it, you know, like I'm up to date now in that series. Is it just the duology? I assume it's done now. It's just the 2 books, so I think it's like a completed series that I can just move off my series spreadsheet now that I've done that. So like, you know, I'm happy I did that. I don't regret reading the book, but I also was like, yeah, if this book like wasn't written, the sequel was not made, I would have been fine. It's at least how I feel. So I was kind of thinking, with under 4.5 hours left, what could I realistically try and read in that length of time? I was like, you know what, I might be able to. Flawless by Sara Shepard. This is the second Pretty Little Liars book. Me and my bestie are doing like a buddy read of this series. And so, you know, these read pretty quickly, and it is got 330 pages. So I don't think I'm going to finish this in the 4 hours and 24 minutes, but I think I might get kind of close, and then if I like go over time to finish it just so I can give you my final thoughts, you know, like I will. But of the books I have, I felt like this was the most likely for me to potentially accomplish in this short period of time I have left. So I'm gonna start this evening and, you know, see how long it takes to finish reading. I have to say, I haven't done this like 24 hours of reading timer thing in like quite a while, and as much as it's like a little annoying to be timing all your reading all the time, it also has like reminded me that like little bits of reading do matter. I know like sometimes I get into this thought of like, oh, I only have like 10-15 minutes, like what's the point of even picking up the book? And like there is a point. You can read for just 10 and 15 minutes here and there, and it all builds up, and it's good, and you'll enjoy it. So do that more. That's like a message to you and also a message to me though, because I need to listen to myself. So those are my thoughts. Having fun, but I also am like ready to be done with the 24 hours of reading, because no matter like how much time I give myself to just like read naturally or whatever, like it feels like pressure. It feels like it's like, you need to read, and sometimes it's like, oh no, I had a thought for like 3 seconds, did I waste all of that time? Do I need to change? Does that count if I paused for 10 seconds to like sneeze or something and the timer was still running? Yeah. Maybe that's just a me thing. So yeah, I'm gonna see you when I've read a bit of Flawless, the Sara Shepard one, not the Elsie Silver. I have read the other one as well. Oh my god. I have 2 books on my shelves with the same name. Interesting. Anyway, okay, bye. See ya. Why, hello there. I am now like a little over halfway through Flawless, book 2, Pretty Little Liars. And, you know, like, it is Pretty Little Liaring. I do also now have an hour and 38 minutes left on my timer. So like I'm definitely not finishing this book in an hour and 38 minutes unless I suddenly become like a speed reading demon, but I'm like not really planning nor really want that to happen. I personally like live my life not as a demon, so I'm probably not going to finish this book in the timer, but I will finish the book for the video so you can get my final thoughts. My main thoughts about reading the Pretty Little Liars series now here in the present day of 2025 as a fully fledged established adult, is what the hell are the adults in this book doing? Specifically, Spencer's parents are like the literal worst people to exist sometimes. Okay, spoilers, because it's Pretty Little Liars and this book came out so many years ago and there's a TV show about it and I feel like everybody kind of knows. But Spencer is 16 in high school, okay? And her older sister's boyfriend, who is first year of medical school, so he's like 23, okay? They end up making out and her sister finds out. So then her parents, Spencer's parents, the parents of the teenager in the situation, gets mad at the teenager and then gives her the silent treatment. The same day that happens, Spencer finds that her best friend, who went missing 3 years ago, is found dead. Her dead body is found in the backyard of her house, which is her neighbor, okay? She has a panic attack, like, on a lawn, and her parents do nothing. They ignore her. Like, these are, like, the literal worst people. Hannah's parents are also, like, horrible. Like, there are no good adults in this. Is there a single responsible person in this entire series? I don't think so. But I feel like that's my main takeaway, is that, like, wow, there's, like, not a single appropriate relationship in this entire series. How fun. But yeah, like, the 2000s, like, references are always fun. And I will say, like, the teen drama element of Pretty Little Liars is top tier. This is, like, a very fun read. And it's, like, super quick chapters, so you know, you can just like binge it super easy. So I am having like a great time with it, knowing that it's trash. Like, this is a good trash read. Like, I wouldn't actually say this is good, but like for a trash read, this is top tier. Like, when you just want to read something that's so bad it's good, Pretty Little Liars is obviously going to deliver that for you. Like, it's iconic for that. I have to say, so far I do kind of like the books more than the TV show, just because the TV show took the plot of these books and like sped it up so much and condensed a lot of it. Like, things kind of happen too fast in the show, and I kind of like the pacing of the books better because things are drawn out more. I would say like most of the events of the first book happen in the pilot episode of the show, just like for reference of like how fast they're deciding to condense and cut things down to. I don't think like the rest of the series necessarily does that, like where the show just like makes like one episode out of an entire book, but I think it's like just kind of something that the book definitely did better, in my opinion. So I'm gonna read some more. You know, I'll probably finish this book today. I'll let you know when the timer is done and where I'm at that point, and then I'll finish the book and give you my final thoughts, and that will be the end of the video. If you're like looking at me right now and you're thinking I look tired, like, how dare you? No, I don't, but also I am tired. Like, I'm so sleepy. I just want to have a nap. So maybe I'll also have a nap today. I have free will, so I'll do what I want. That's the plan. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go read more Pretty Little Liars. Don't know what you're gonna do in the meantime. Probably nothing, because it's gonna be like 1 second. I'll be back here for you. So yeah, bye. So my 24 hours is officially up. I read Flawless, book 2 of Pretty Little Liars, until the timer ran out yesterday evening, and I have about 60 pages of the book left, which is about maybe another hour and a bit of reading. You know, like, I almost read 3 books in this video. I will finish this and give you my final thoughts in a clip after this, but it is a little difficult to talk about Pretty Little Liars, like, just in general, because I feel very no thoughts, just vibes about it. Like, even when I finished the first book, I found it really hard to give it a rating because I felt like I was like reading it not really for that. Like, I didn't feel I had any thoughts about it that I felt that strongly about while reading it. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, normally when I'm reading a book, you know, like when I'm putting it down, I'm like, oh, I'm liking this, or this is not really it for me, or oh my god, this is amazing, and I can kind of link that to some kind of star rating between 1 and 5. But with like the Pretty Little Liars book, I literally just read these. Like, I just read these with my head empty, and like, that's it. It is definitely entertaining. I'll give you that. And the people in it are trash. Like, it's just like rich teenagers being problematic, and then also like this mysterious A person is threatening them. Like, it's a fun time. They're just suspecting everybody. This is still like very early on in the mystery, and I really like this kind of teen drama world, you know? I'm enjoying it. It's great. It's fun. Like I said before, I think the books are better than the show because the pacing is more appropriate to actually understand these plot points. Like, I think in the books, the development of like Emily and Maya's relationship makes a lot more sense. Oh, I think also in the books, the relationship between like the four liars, you know, the four main gals, is done better because in the books, the gap of time between when Allie went missing and where the books begin and they find the body, it's 3 years in the books instead of like the 1 year it is in the show, which means that the four girls like losing connection and their friendships and like, you know, like moving apart from each other makes more sense. And then it also takes longer for them to get back as friends and to connect again. Like, we're only just starting to see them interacting together again as a group. Like, I wouldn't even say they're back to being friends yet in this book, and that makes way more sense. In the show, it's like the pilot happens, which, like I said, is basically the entire first book. And then by the end of that, it's like, we're best friends again. And it doesn't even really make sense that they weren't still friends because in the show, it's only been like 1 year. It didn't make a whole lot of sense other than like Arya, who was like in Iceland. For the other three girls to have like fallen apart so drastically so quickly, I think the books handles that a lot better. So like I am liking the books a lot more. That's kind of like my general thoughts. I think it's also like interesting to read these and have like a general idea where it's going because I've seen the show, but not a full idea because the books are definitely different from the show. It's like kind of reading it and being like, oh, how is it going to be different? What's going to change? And it's like, it's just fun. Like, I'm having a good time. Like, it's a very like turn your brain off and just read kind of book. And I like that. You need those kind of books sometimes, and I'm glad I have a few of those. So like I said, I'm gonna take an hour to like read the last part of the book, and then I'll come back to like give you my true final thoughts. But this is kind of like the end of like the reading for 24 hours part of this video because the 24 hours are up, baby. They're donezo. Yeah, see you in the next clip for that conclusion. Okay, we have made it to the end of I have made it to the end of Flawless by Sara Shepard, and I have to say, like, things have definitely taken a turn in the book that they do not take in the show, and it has really made things just like blow up in a different way, and it's kind of making me want to like start the third book right away, but I'm not going to be because I'm doing a buddy read with my bestie, so I have to wait for her to be ready to start reading the third book before I, you know, just start bulldozing my way through this entire series. But boy, is Pretty Little Liars ever bingeable. It's so good. See, the thing is, like, part of me wants to give this a 4 because it was so fun, but then I think about how utterly problematic and horrible like everybody in this is, and I'm like, can I give this a 4-star, like, morally? Can I give this an ethical 4-star? I don't know. Maybe I'll do like a 3.5 because I think there's definitely like things in this book that could be better. But also, like, if you're just wanting have like a fun time reading a trashy little book, Pretty Little Liars will deliver for you 100% of the time. I've only read 2 books, but I feel like I can say the overall vibe is that it will deliver you entertaining trashy book. It will keep you hooked in, and it definitely has me hooked. So I'm happy about that. But yeah, like, end of the book, those last 60 pages, like, a lot happened, and some of it was like kind of expected from like what I know from having watched the show, and other parts were like very different, not expected at all. So it's been like a good time. And, you know, like, now that I'm done this book, it's book number 3 for this video, and all I do is yap yap yap. So what I'm gonna do right now is stop yapping and end the video. If you did like this video, make sure to give it a like, give it a little thumbs up. If you happen to like me, consider subscribing. I'd be happy to have you. Do let me know down below, do you do 24-hour readathons, or any kind of reading goals like this? How do you like to make your TBRs for things? Do you like doing little theme TBRs? Do you just read whatever the heck you're feeling like reading in the moment? Are you like a fast reader? Are you a slow reader? Any thoughts, any feelings? Let me know. And with that, I hope you're having a wonderful day today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.